Bonjour, Gogo zit Niznikas, Mang Dotan. Obdang Jinkade Abonjian, Migajon Bigian, and Ke Kajinkate Obdang, the Kinawaya, and Dona Magnak, Bonjiat. Hello, my given name is Owl's Foot. I'm from White Sand, and I grew up in the area of White Sand First Nation. We live, our reserve is close to Armstrong, Ontario, just next door to them. And my English name is Lawrence Wanakamik, and I was born in a place called Willette. I was east of Armstrong, and I grew up there all my life. Today's topic is storytelling. And this is why I decided to have the fire here. Well, it's a sacred fire for the Sweat Lodge. But when I was growing up, a child playing around in our community, in our village, the elders would gather around, especially towards the evening after they had supper. They would sit around the fire like this, that had wood blocks like this, or made up benches, and they'll just sit around and talk, storytelling about what they've been doing that day, or their hunting trips, fishing trips, and a lot of it they would just talk about general things in life, and to me today. That's a learning thing for myself when I sit around in circles like we did inside here yesterday, sharing our stories, and that's what happened in when I was growing up, because like I said, we'd be playing around near the fire, and once in a while I would come to the fire and sit and listen, and then I'd go out again and play. But I caught some of the stories, like don't be playing outside after dark when everybody's gone to bed, because the boogeyman, I guess what they would call it, would take you away to the man in the moon. They talked about the man in the moon all the time to, I guess, I don't know, just to teach us that not to play and fool around during the night time. So we'd go back home and start our bed. But we'd sit around. Today we have sharing circles, and we tell stories, whether it's about ourselves, what we did, and same thing that happened when I was growing up as a child. I would hear these stories. I guess one of the stories that I come to mind is Nana Bajo and Windigo. They would those are the spirits. One of them is a trickster, and the other one is like a bully. And they would fight. The two of them would fight, and Windigo got beat up, and there was a red willow is where he ran, and that's why the red willow was red, because he was bleeding, and he would run across the bushes there, and his blood would make the willow red, and that's why the willow. If you ever see red willow, that's how the color is, or when you see that. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the porcupine. How the porcupine got his quills. I guess the porcupine didn't have no quills when he was born, and he didn't have any quills like he was growing up. And one day the bear would come around and try to bite him, and the Nanabajo would ask him, how come you have these thorns on your back? He got thorns on the bushes there, with thorns that had the bushes that had thorns. He would grab some and put them around him, so the bear wouldn't chase him and try to bite him and eat him. And and he would go back to Nanabajo and says, I want these as my coat. And from that day forward, he was given the quills, so he would protect himself. And that was his protection from other animals, whether it was the bear or the foxes, the wolverines, or whatever animals that were around. And that was the thing that I think about stories. And there are other stories where they were told around the campfire, the sacred fire, or just a regular fire. There was another story of how the chipmunk got his stripes. I'm not quite sure about that story, but I know there was a story on that one. The chipmunk got his stripes around his back there, and a lot of animal stories had stories behind them. The legends that came about how they got to be. A lot of the animals had those, like the chipmunk and the porcupine. And the I guess the other things that I wanted to talk about is, growing up, I was sent to residential school, and a lot of this got lost. The storytelling. I think about things that I seen growing up as a little boy, and when I was in residential school, I kind of forgot forgot what happened in those younger days, and there was a hard time being in the residential school, and start to almost forgot my language when I was there. But I was lucky. I'm one of the fortunate ones to hang on to the language, because I went home early from residential school. Actually, I escaped. My sister and brother-in-law took me home that one Easter time, and I stayed home after that. And my mother used to talk to me in the language all the time, and that's how I retain my language to this day. And I'm lucky in that way. And I try to pass on words to the young people back home. Try to teach them words and just to make them remember that they are Ojibways, and they need to speak the language. And I tried to do the circles with them also in school. I go to the school in Armstrong, and try to pass on the messages of the fire, the sweat lodge, and sharing circles. I do the circles with them. Not every class I did. I did 2 classes last year, and of course this year there was not able to do anything because of the pandemic. And I guess that's pretty well. The storytelling is a big part of sharing and passing on messages of trying to make life better for our people. And I like to share stories of my residential school experience, and for me that's a teaching thing for them to know that this thing happened, and that they are carrying that same I guess behaviors, for even though they're still young, but it's passed through their parents and their grandparents. And I was talking to one of the guys there about, the humor that we have. There's also teachings in that humor. Yesterday I talked about the feather, and when I went to that AA meeting, and it was actually a sharing circle where the feather went around, and you listen to it, and so there's a teaching of that also. There's stories that was told that are, we learn from those, even though they might be humorous. So that's another lesson that we learn from humor. And I guess with that, I have no more else. My mind going blank right now. Miigwech, help.